while Shirone was walking inside the academy. Female students were murmuring. They said, "It is him, the guy who hit Senior Amy." It was too amusing to watch, but too bad now. Shirone could only take a sigh after hearing that. In his mind, ever since that incident 4 days ago when Amy spilled the coffee, how am I supposed to go about my day with my head up? Though it seems like this whole charade ended up earlier than expected. I thought she would try to bother me more. It should be fine for me to think that she eased up on her suspicions of me, right? While thinking, he saw Chanel, the senior whom Shirone didn't dislike at all. However, Shirone started to wonder why his senior, Chanel, was alone when she was always with his senior, Amy. He began to ask if something had happened. Shirone called Chanel, causing Chanel to react with shock as if she had seen a living ghost. This also prompted Shirone to shout. Chanel grabs Shirone's collar. She asks, "Why are you here? What about Amy? Where is Amy?" Shirone, who was confused, asks what does she means. Then Chanel put that letter near his eyes and said, "Look at this. Did nothing really happen?" Shirone reads the letter and he starts to ask, "What is this? So I was kidnapped? But more importantly, this black magician group. What the hell are they?" 30 minutes ago, there is a student who asks Amy if she is doing well. Amy, who was annoyed, said, "Who the hell are you? Who do you think you are speaking to? I already told you to buzz off." The messenger student laughs and gives the letter to Amy. He says, "It would be better for you to not act so cocky. Boss is asking to see you." Amy ignored that guy and she said, "It's fine. You just have to ignore people like him. That is why he is still stuck in class 5. The messenger student said, "He said that if I deliver this, you will start being more obedient. If you don't wish us to break your man, you should accept his invitation." Hearing this made Amy shiver, but Chanel, who didn't understand what the guy said, told Amy that his words sounded stupid and they should head to the library. After that, Amy suddenly grabbed and read the entire contents of the letter. She began to sweat, asking if they had really kidnapped Shirone. She remembers the time when Jake spouted something when he was triggered. In Amy's mind, it is that bastard's work. Jake, that bastard. Amy got angry and started to crumple down the paper. She shouted, "Damn, what do you want me to do? I have nothing to do with that kid." Then she proceeds to throw the paper. The guy bids his goodbye, saying that he was just a mere messenger. Chanel picked up the crumpled letter and read it. She shouted, "Black magician. These guys, aren't they a misconduct group? They are absolute trash who only bothers students who do well. But why did they suddenly kidnap Shirone? And what does that have to do with you?" Amy was silent and sweating. She was thinking that maybe because of that night that she couldn't hold herself back. Chanel said, "We need to let the teachers know about something like this. Not only Shirone, but even you may fall into danger." Amy was thinking and replied, "Tell the teachers, huh?" In her mind, of course, that would be the best answer, but this issue isn't that simple. If the teaching staff interferes in the process of discovering the truth, I would have to explain the relationship between me and Shirone. And if my past gets revealed, the fact that this guy is a commoner might also be revealed. She remembers the time that Shirone was begging on him in the past, saying that he didn't do anything, and if the fact that he was a commoner revealed, even that might happen again. Thinking about that moment shocked her. Amy gave her bag to Chanel and she said, "I will go there alone. If I don't return by 7 p.m., then go tell the teachers about this." Chanel asks, "What? Why? How are you going to go there alone? You don't even know how many will be there." Amy replied, "Sorry, it is because there is really a specific situation I am stuck in." With her bloody red eyes, she assured Chanel to not worry about her because even though there were 10 Jakes, they could not be compared to her. Going back to the present, Shirone asks Chanel if she is telling her that Amy went there to save him because for Shirone there is no way for that evil person to go there and save him. Shirone said, "Either way, you are saying she went there alone? Then what are you doing just standing here?" Chanel replied, "Amy said she had a specific reason why she had to do this. This was the first time she ever made this kind of request. She said we must wait until 7 p.m. Shirone was thinking about that specific reason Amy was referring to. In his mind, the 1-hour leeway is an insurance. The reason for not telling the teacher is to maintain her secret. It is connected to our secret. That ultimately means she went there alone in order to keep my secret. Shirone threw his things and told Chanel, "It seems that I must go there too. Senior, you should keep waiting there until the promised time." At that time, Chanel was confused and asked Shirone to wait for a moment. But Shirone runs as fast as he can. In his mind, if it is the 14th training field, it is towards the mountains. Will I be able to get there in time? Chanel grabbed Shirone and they flew up. She said, "How will you get there in time by running? It will be better if I go too. I am going to photonize." "Hold on." Shirone, who was confused, asks her, "What is that?" Then Shirone's body turns into light and they move at a faster speed that made Shirone shout. The students who saw the light starts to ask if what is that thing and who is the person using magic within the school. Chanel fly upward and told Shirone that it is dangerous since they can hit trees while teleporting, so she said they will start flying from there. After landing on the ground, Shirone was still shaking because he didn't have time to prepare himself, but Chanel run towards the 14th field. Shirone was vomiting from the motion sickness he experienced because of photonization. Chanel starts to ask questions, "Where is Amy?" while running. Chanel said, "No one is here." "That is weird, right? We got here 10 minutes before the meeting period." Shirone replied, "I think they changed locations. Since the location was exposed in the letter, they thought of this ahead of time in case the teachers were contacted." Chanel asks Shirone about what can they do about Amy. Shirone remains silent because the tactics of those guys are well planned and thorough. Many thoughts entered Shirone's mind, such as the secret past, his commoner status, and the possibility of expulsion. However, for Shirone, this wasn't the time to worry about his identity. In a way, he realized that Amy might end up in a situation far more dangerous than he had initially thought. Shirone said, "Senior Chanel, go back and tell all of the teachers. Without me holding you back, you should be able to get there even faster than before." Chanel told Shirone that Amy told her that she should wait until 7 p.m. because she was in a certain situation. Shirone replied, "It is all right. The situation is because of me. If I help, nothing will happen, so please go quickly." At first, Chanel was confused about what Shirone meant. Then it led to another misunderstanding. Chanel shouted, "What? Amy's important situation is you? What is the relationship between you two? Is it really like the rumors? Are the two of you dating in secret? Why didn't I know about this?" Shirone told her, "We have no time left. The more time passes, the more dangerous things will get." Chanel replied, "I got it. It is also dangerous for you, so you should calmly wait here." Shirone took a sigh and he was somewhat thankful that it seemed like those guys were in the mountains, a terrain he is familiar with. Then he used Spirit Dive to scan the whole area. He was thinking of finding some traces and then he found it. There are footprints in the area. He found 2 sets of fresh footprints, but it is cut off in the middle. He starts to question if they start flying. While tracing down the footprints, he heard sound waves emanating from a massive explosion. Seeing the rising smoke, he began to question what the hell was going on. On the other hand, while Amy was walking with that arrogant messenger, that guy throws a fireball at Amy. But Amy didn't flinch at all. He said, "Oh my hand slipped. I almost hit you with the vibrant fireworks I have been saving for your grand entrance, Amy." The male student magicians who are part of their group start appearing one by one. Those guys said, "Mistress Amy actually showed up to reel in such a big fish, as expected of boss." Then the boss, who is Jake Ardius, slowly approaches from the back. He told his men sarcastically to mind their manners, saying that Amy is a very important guest. Even though Amy is surrounded by men, she doesn't show any signs of fear. She said, "It seems there are way too many children with nothing to do better with their lives." Jake replied, "Did you actually show up alone? Is that punk really so precious to you to the point you would innocently follow the directions?" Amy told Jake that there was no need to burn down the entire house just to catch a couple of rats. This hit the nerve of Jake. He said, "How cocky, but with the number of peering eyes, you won't be able to do as you wish. This time, didn't come here without a plan, you see." Amy told Jake that she gave no sheets about his plan or whatsoever, and then she asked about the whereabouts of Shirone. Hearing that, all of them start to laugh so loud. Jake said, "That punk is probably licking books in the library or something. He doesn't even have an idea as to what his girl will be experiencing soon." Then that messenger at the back jokingly said, "Oh book, I love you. Lick and lick. But for me, what is wrong with licking the books when you sometimes do that when changing pages?" Going back to the story while those boys were laughing, Jake said, "Why should we care where that punk is? All of us here only care about you. All of them are going crazy. They want payback for what you have done to them. Of course, last night, you did something that made me quite unhappy. I will probably pay you back as well, so be prepared." After hearing that, Amy takes a deep sigh, and then she laughs and glares at them with her red eyes. She said, "Since Shirone isn't here, this just got simpler. Just as you said, with so many of you watching, things may become troublesome, but doesn't that just mean I need to eliminate you people?" Seeing the bloodlust and red eyes of Amy, Jake started sweating and exclaimed that there was no way. Amy releases a fire spell at her back, and the one who is the first victim is the messenger who insults Shirone. That messenger guy was shouting, saying that it was too hot. Seeing Amy go wild made Jake run away. He shouted, "That crazy girl. She really shot it out. Get your head straight and put out the fire. The target form is weak against large numbers." While flying away, Jake told his men to move quickly, but they should maintain their formations. But one guy who was also flying away was caught by Amy. The guy was confused about why he couldn't fly away, but suddenly a massive explosion occurred below him, causing him to be thrown away. Amy waves her hand to cast another spell. Then all of the spells were aimed at other magicians who were trying to escape. With her shining red eyes, Amy smiled and told them, "Who said you could do that?" Amy became like a fire goddess who was holding a fire spell in her hands, and then throw it away on the underlings of Jake. Many students were hit. One student could only take cover from the fires that area approaching them. He said, "Wait, you said it was a target form. How is her rotation speed so fast?" Jake realizes that they are in a dire situation. In his mind, what the hell is this? It is completely different from what I saw in the training grounds. Does she have a battle experience or something? Jake fly upward and creates a wind spell. In his mind, no matter the techniques, there has to be a weakness. To go against the target form, which involves horizontal rotation, I need to attack from the vertical axis. After flying in the blind spot of Amy, who was busy spamming fire spells, Jake throws a wind spell called Wind Cutter at the back of Amy. Looking at Amy, who was still busy and focused on releasing fireballs, Jake smiled, thinking that he would hit Amy at this time. But as the wind cutter neared Amy, she noticed it and glared at Jake with her red eyes. The wind cutter was easily evaded by Amy. Jake started to question how did she able to do it. Amy smiled at him and said, "It is called schema, you dumb bastard." Then Amy throws a spell called Fire Strike at Jake. Jake could only curse at that time, and the next thing that happens is Jake exploded in the air. As Jake was falling down from that hit, he was still cursing Amy. Amy, who was like an evil witch, slowly walked towards Jake. She smiled and said, "This is why your grades are so garbage. It is because you are wasting your time doing pointless sheets like this." Jake raised his hand and was aiming to release another random spell. He told Amy to not look down on him. Amy still walks slowly towards him. She says, "What are you doing? There is no use in struggling. I am not letting you go that easily." Suddenly, Amy felt an ominous glare from a random artifact. She began to question what the hell it was. Then, she sensed that her mana was being affected by it, and even her red eyes couldn't function. She started to shout in response to the unsettling sensation. All of them laugh, including Jake. He said, "Push harder. It took forever to catch her. Checkmate, you crazy wild cat. If you don't dispel your spirit zone, you will probably go insane. What you are currently experiencing is anti-magic." Amy cursed them, stating that they dared to use cheats by employing forbidden magic. What angered her even more was that her red eyes couldn't help her recover from the effects. On her weakened state, Amy was suddenly pulled by the wind magic of Jake. He laughs and said, "I have finally caught you, freaking girl. How are you? Don't you feel like accepting my proposal from yesterday now?" Jake became like a madman as he revealed his hidden knife. He said, "I feel that it would be in your best to answer carefully. Right now, I have the urge to commit a crime, you see." Amy angrily told him, "I am warning you now, if you actually mess with me, I will kill you." In Amy's mind, I can't get loose. Is it too much for a schema to handle? I did stop training it at the age of 12. Damn, I need to find a way. Jake embeds magic on the knife. He said, "Really? It seems you don't understand just what kind of situation you are in. Right. You are just tired of men, right? I will help you. If I mark up your face, I am sure the guys will stop clinging to you." He puts the knife near Amy's face and then laughs. He said, "Oh yes, this is what I wanted from the beginning. You should have been trembling in a fear like this from the start. Beg another chance. Beg. Say it." Amy could only close her eyes as the knife is approaching her face. In her mind, damn it, my strength is leaving me. So this is how Shirone felt in the past. But suddenly someone shouted, telling all of them to stop. All of them stop from what they are doing. When Amy looks at the person who was shouting, it was Shirone holding a stick pointing at Jake and his group. Shirone shouted, "Stop, you heinous punks.